We deploy technology, we don't deploy capital. And essentially, what we've done is built a tech stack that was built to fit within the framework of a long short FINRA regulated equity prime broker, right? A very complex framework. I'm blessed to have a phenomenal team alongside me that also come from traditional finance, prime brokerage, securities lending, margin financing. And that's really been our main focus is the borrow lend space of the digital asset ecosystem. We do default to 105 from a peer-to-peer perspective. However, institutions do have the ability to kind of manage that accordingly. They can go under collateralized or over collateralized up to 300%. But, I think for us, utilizing and incorporating best practices from traditional finance, Tokenet essentially emulates traditional tools that banks and broker dealers use today to borrow and lend from one another. Most notably, probably Equilend, right? Equilend's a platform that banks and broker dealers use to borrow and lend, and Tokenet was built in a very similar manner. And you brought up a great point. If I'm an institutional lender and I want to be very conservative and I want to have 150% collateral versus kind of lending it out under collateralized, the rates will vary. Absolutely. Tokenet specifically is a multi-custody, fully programmatic platform. So right now we have integrations into two custodial partners, Anchorage Digital here in the U.S. and Zodia Custody for non-U.S. clients. So the collateral is all being held at the custodian partner levels. When you think about traditional finance and platforms like Equilend or LoanNet, right, they're uniform platforms that all counterparties are on and utilize on a regular basis. In digital assets, a lot of folks built out their own proprietary technology that doesn't necessarily speak or communicate to the other counterparties' technology. So it's very fragmented right now. So what our goal at Digital Prime Technologies, specifically for the Tokenet product, is to be that uniform platform that allows counterparties to interact and communicate with each other in a uniform manner. Because when you look at what Tokenet solves for, it is, pre-loan, it's origination, it's loan execution, and the ability to kind of manage the life cycle of a loan. We also spent 2022 becoming regulated ourselves, as I mentioned previously, through DLCC Prime. You can find DLCC Prime on BrokerCheck, and you'll see it's wholly owned subsidiary of Digital Prime Technologies. We just got the Tokenet product stood up. Had first set of happy to share first set of institutional loans going through Tokenet last week.
Oh, very nice! Congratulations.
Yeah, something
That's
that was
huge.
proud of. Yeah, something that we're super proud of, and great support from our initial set of clients on that. And they've been phenomenal in their time and efforts in working with us and helping us reach that milestone. And from what I understand, those were the first loans in digital assets that was facilitated through an SEC entity, right? So really milestone event for us, right?
Wow. Okay.
And it's something that we're super proud of. So, that business was, those trades were facilitated through the broker dealer, which is, a milestone event, not just for us at Digital Prime, but I also think for the industry, right? As I mentioned, we just went from pre-revenue to operational last week. And now, once we close out this current capital raise, we'll be strictly focusing on building the business and generating as many revenues as we possibly can for the foreseeable future. When we start to onboard clients, I mentioned that, each one of our institutional clients, they need to onboard at our broker dealer. They also need to have a vault at one of the two current custodians that we're integrated into, but they also need to have their own relationship with the other counterparties. So it's a bit of an arduous process, right? So onboarding our first set of initial clients was definitely probably 90 to 120 day experience. And the hardest part of it was the counterparty documentation, because we're bringing on new participants in the digital asset borrow lend space, folks that are sitting on a tremendous amount of inventory and never had the tools internally to lend it out. So we're bringing new lenders to the space. And then from there, they need to have their own counterparty docs, right? So we're trying to get ahead of it now. I think 30 days would be ideal. We're definitely shortened it up a bit. It's not just the ability to kind of lend it out over collateralized, but the life cycle of that loan, right, is super important, right? We kind of touched on re-rates, recalls, and returns, right? Recall is when a lender wants to recall their lent position back, right? And having the ability to do that in a fully programmatic manner, is important for these lenders, right? Re-rate, right? They may be lending it out at 3% today, but the market moves, pretty quick in digital assets, and now they can get 6%. Nice couple clicks of a button. Now they're alerting that to their lender that you've been re-rated from 3% to 6%, right? Having all the reporting that goes with it. We also have a chat functionality very similar to Bloomberg Chat within Tokennet that they could create groups between counterparties. So there's a lot of communication and transparency from a dialogue perspective as well. It's all institutional, right? We're only onboarding institutional clients. Obviously, each counterparty is going to have to go through their credit checks and things along those lines to get comfortable with those counterparties. But I would imagine out of the 10, 11, 12 counterparties that we have lined up, I'm sure a certain amount of them will, meet the threshold that the credit team is looking for to start working with them. And, like you mentioned too, to, be over collateralized at 150%, 200%, whatever that number is. So just to give you an example, right? I'm an institution, I'm lending out $100 worth of BTC. I could do it at 150% USDC. So I'm holding now $150 of USDC. If the Bitcoin position goes into a margin call or the threshold falls below that margin requirement that I'm comfortable with, you could liquidate that position and have that, that stable coin there to buy back your Bitcoin. So there are a lot of tools in place and parameters in place that are, again, attracting new lenders into the space, giving them tools that resonate with them because, again, they emulate tools from traditional finance, which currently don't exist in the borrow lend space today, specifically for a digital asset marketplace, lending marketplace. The master lending agreements between the counterparties.
Gotcha.
That would be all ironed out between both sides, legal teams, and kind of put in place there. So that's the governing doc of that life cycle of the loan. We just provide the tools to kind of manage that doc, right? And since we operate Tokennet out of DLCC Prime, we do have a internal process in place as relates to what tokens that are available or not within Tokennet. Right now, we have 5 tokens available to either borrow or lend plus USD, and each one of those tokens can also be used as a collateral type. And out of those 5 tokens, there is a stable coin in there as well. So we do have a formal process in place as part of our regulatory obligations. It just comes down to the technology, right? It's such a robust platform. Took us well over 12 months to develop. While we were developing it, I mentioned, feedback from the working group that we had, but also too addressing the pain points in the digital asset lending space, addressing them all individually, married them all collectively, the solutions, and building Tokennet. So we do have the tools in place, and given the opportunity to present the platform to somebody, I think we have a pretty high batting average from a conversion perspective, along those lines. So we just really appreciate the opportunity to meet with our team, show them what we built, and really walk through and handhold them in regards to, what's there for them from a tools perspective. And at the end of the day, if you can generate additional alpha of 3, 5, 8, 10%, pretty significant, significant, especially from a portfolio management perspective. We just initiated a new cap raise. It's pretty easy for accredited investors to participate through T0. But more importantly, we're here, right? If anybody wants to reach out, meet me, my team, see the tech, happy to find all the time necessary in order to do so.